Hi folks, it's Rabbi David Ostriker here in Carmiel in the Galilee of Israel. It is February 9th, Erev Shabbos, Shabbos Mishpatim, Shabbos Shkolim, the Shabbos of the half shekel. There's so much in Mishpatim. It really is the center of the story of the civil laws given to the Jewish people. But I'm not going to dwell on that. The value of a slave, the treatment of a slave, how to act in business, proper ways to act in business, relationships that threaten violence or involve violence. Really all of the central elements of civil law are in Mishpatim. And Mishpatim is a meaning, could mean sentence in modern Hebrew. I learned that at Ulpan. But it also means a civil law. That is a law that makes sense to us. That maybe even if it wasn't given, it's part of nation building. That is to say, no nation can exist where murder is not punished. No nation can exist where theft is allowed, because then personal property would have no sanctity, and really bullies would control everything. So those kind of laws in the Code of Hammurabi and others existed outside of the Torah. But that is the nature of this week's Parsha. I'm not going to dwell on that. There are some thoughts that came to my mind as I was walking home from Ulpan. Ulpan is where Olei Chadash, new immigrants to Israel, go for 5 to 10 months of their first year to learn to become, to be able to communicate successfully in Ivrit, in Hebrew. Hebrew spoken, modern Hebrew, does differ from biblical Hebrew, although there are many similarities. But my wife and I came here in October, and we've been going to Ulpan and learning a lot. So we learned that Mishpatim is not what we thought it was, not just laws, but also it simply means sentence as well. Not sentence as how many years you're going to do in Sing Sing, but sentence as words to put together with a period at the end. Okay, so let's move on. What am I going to talk about today? Well, it has a lot to do with Israel. In Mishpatim, at the end, is really the beginning of Moshe's journey up to Har Sinai. God commands him, having given the 10 Commandments already, to come up to Har Sinai, and the rest of the law will be given to him. And before that point, he's told what the future is to be. He's told, behold, this is in chapter 23, verse 20, behold, I send an angel, a malach, before you, lifnei, before you, to protect you on your way, and to bring you to the place that I have made ready, that I have prepared for you. This is, of course, the land of Israel. It's almost as though God handcrafted this place, this land, this beautiful land of Israel, for this group of people, the children of Abraham, who he took out of the land of Egypt. And the goal was not just to remove them from slavery and into freedom, but to make them a light unto the nations and to give them a land appropriate for that purpose, one that he had prepared for them. One of the questions that anybody who is making Aliyah is required to answer almost on a daily basis: why did you do it? Now, if you're fleeing oppression, you know, it could be from the former Soviet Union, from other kinds of anti-Semitism, it's one thing. But why did you make Aliyah from a place like Canada, a place like Thornhill, Canada, That's a question that people are really curious about, and one that I answered for almost on a daily basis for 6 months prior to leaving, and continue here, even in Israel. People say, Canada is such a wonderful place. Why did you come to Israel? I want to deal with that question today. But before I do, I want you to think back. You know, people say think back. I want you to think back 2,372 years ago, on this very day, on the 24th day of Shvat, that's today, Friday, the prophet Zechariah was prophesying. And he said to the Jewish people, it was on the 24th day of the 11th month, which is the month of Shvat, in the 2nd year of Darius. The word of Hashem came to Zechariah, the son of Rechia, the son of Iddo, the prophet, saying. This comes from Zechariah, chapter 1, verse 7. Now I'm going to skip down to the heart of this, which is what Zechariah told his prophecy to be. Verse 14. A malach, an angel who was speaking to me, then said to me, call out. Zechariah has a question. Why have you abandoned your people? Why have you abandoned their land? They're in Babylon. Why have they been in exile from the Holy Land and from their temple? The angel who was speaking to me then said to me, call out, saying, thus says Hashem, Master of legions, I have become zealous for Jerusalem, for Zion, a great zeal. And I am wrathful, a great wrath against the complacent nations, who, when I became slightly wrathful, augmented the evil. When I became angry with the Jews, they made it worse. Therefore, thus said Hashem, I have returned to Jerusalem in mercy. My temple will be rebuilt in it. The word of Hashem, that is the word of Hashem. Master of legions, and a plumb line will be stretched over Jerusalem. Call out again, saying, thus said Hashem, Master of legions, my cities will once again spread out with bounty. Hashem will have mercy on Zion once again, and I will choose Yerushalayim once again. So that's why we made Aliyah. There's more truth in it than joke. You know, I would say to people, well, you know, I'm no spring chicken. Winter is very tough in Toronto. Lots of salt, lots of ice, lots of snow, lots of shoveling, lots of heart attacks. It's not easy on my knees. Israel has a much better climate. It's respectful of people of retirement age, of seniority. And I think I can manage it. So that's why. And I have to tell you, nobody believed me. I said it over and over and over. I almost believed it myself. Then I started saying to people, well, my family's been trying to get back to Israel for 2,000 years. We're Levites. And I thought I'd give it a shot, because I can. That seemed to have greater resonance. But I have to tell you, on the way back from Ulpan yesterday, it's a half-hour, 40-minute walk through the streets of Carmiel, through the parks and streets. My wife was wrestling with this question, and she had a very important point. She said, making Aliyah is perhaps the second most important issue a person deals with after marriage. And it hit me at that point. Why do people get married? You know, a rabbi said to me that there was once a survey done every 10 years. And they would ask husband and wife, why did you marry your spouse? And in the initial years, there would be great detail. He's handsome, he's kind, he's powerful and protective, he has good career opportunities, he has a great sense of humor, she's beautiful, stunning, the room lights up when she comes in the room, she's compassionate, she's a person who is kind to others, she'll make a great mother. And they would have a list, 25, 35 items. And every 10 years, these questions would be asked again. And every 10 years, the list would get shorter. And what they found was that people, by the time they had their 50th anniversary, thought it was a kind of weird question that you're asking. It's because of who she is. It's because of who he is. Because I love her. That is to say, there are some things in life that you can analyze a great deal, come to a conclusion, but it may not be the root cause of why you take an action. And so it is with the nature of Aliyah, right? God prepared this land for the Jewish people. I can't tell you that the quality of life is necessarily better, that earning power is greater here than in other cities, that the metropolitan experience is greater here than other cities. I can't really tell it to you any more than I could really tell you the essence of why it is I got married to Yelena. I can tell you, she was very good looking. I can tell you that she excited me both intellectually and physically. I can tell you that we felt a bond, that we looked out to the world with many of the same points of view, even though we came from very different backgrounds. I can give you a long list. But other people might have matched that list as well, and I didn't marry them. Why? Because God had prepared Yelena for me, and me for Yelena. And there was something built into that, the tie. And so it is with the crucial decision of Aliyah. Right? There is something beyond the rational that tells a person from a place like North America that this is your home, that this is your family. And there are things about your home you might not particularly like. And there are members of your family that you might not look forward to having for dinner. But you do. And you learn to love where you live. I guess there are imperfections in Carmiel. I guess there are things that are wrong with it. Yeah. But I would say that these words of Zechariah, and I'd like to, well, maybe I can't find it now. Okay, so these words of Zechariah, which is say, I am going to bless this land, but not generally, specifically for this group of people. This is the shoe that fits for them. That instinctually we have this sense. And this answers a very big question. And the question is, why is it the Jews who were not religious, who came from fairly wealthy backgrounds, gave up everything to live and die in this land as the original founders of modern Israel? Those who drained the swamps, literally. Those who dealt with malaria, those who dealt with hostile Arabs. What was the motive for them doing it? This was the motive. This was the motive. That deep inside, we all know that this place was prepared for the Jewish people. Not just given to them, prepared for them. And so it is a good fit. And we know it internally. We feel it. Have a great Shabbos. And by the way, I want to give a shout out to Chashi and Michael, who live the fire of Lag BaOmer every day of the year. Best regards. Shabbat Shalom.